So, a brief introduction on the progression of web technology. We started out with Web 1. Is that okay? So, we started with Web 1 about 1990. So, I think some of you are not born yet. So, anyway. So, Web 1, we started with HTML, e-commerce, and JavaScript and applet, and a little bit of SQL database during that time. And move on for about 10 years. We progressed to Web 2. And we still use this technology even in Web 2. Now we still use the HTML, CSS, whatever. But in Web 2, we have social media, mobile app, web app frameworks. These are what we call apps. We call it frameworks. And a cloud and REST API for data distribution. So if you are a computer science or if you're an engineer, you know what that means, no? A REST API. So everybody knows what's REST API, right? So you're all engineers here. And we move on to Web 3. So Web 3 is, we progress the database into a blockchain database. Okay? And then in Web 2, since I also run Web 2 companies, I have a SaaS application. Normally, when you have a SaaS application, you need to create a corporation. Now, the corporation runs a SaaS application, hires the marketing and the sales people, hires the support people, hires the programmer, and so on and so forth. In Web 3, you set up a DAO, not a corporation. You set up a DAO, you issue tokens instead of shares, and so on and so forth, in order to manage those applications. And dApps, we call dApps instead of app, we call it dApps. Why dApps? Because it connects directly to your wallet, and our API are converted to smart contracts. Okay? Then we go one by one. And we have AI, machine learning, and RPC. RPC is just a method of communication between JSON and RPC. Okay? So what it does, the technology, what it does, the technology, more or less what the progression does is that you move from trust to truth. So right now, when you are using an application like Facebook, you trust Zuckerberg. You trust your data to Zuckerberg. Okay? You trust your data. If it is Google, you trust it with somebody else. No? If it is Microsoft, you trust it with Bill Gates. So the progression is that instead of trusting someone, we are basically telling you that this is the truth. Okay? That's the main difference. So what happened is anyone can be an infrastructure. Right now, if you are going to be an infrastructure of Facebook, you have to go to Zuckerberg to set up a server to capture the data for Facebook data. But in Web3, if you want to join XODE, you can just join in. And I don't need to trust you. Okay, that's the big difference. And there's also a process on how to coordinate with people that we don't trust. So in other words, if I communicate with you, if I send you money, I don't necessarily mean to trust you. Because every time I send you money, it's the truth. And if it is not the truth, I get slashed or, what's the term? I don't know what's the term, but you get penalized. That's the term, okay? Okay, that's a big word, no? From trust to truth. So how you are going to go about it? So there are desired properties that Polkadot is telling us. So this desired properties was coined by Gavin Wood. So the desired properties of setting up this infrastructure from this progression from Web 2 to Web 3 is that of these properties. Number 1 is permissionless. Number 2 is authenticity. Number 3 is behavior. And number 4 is privacy. 5, finality. And the 6th one is unstoppability. Let's start with the 6th one. The 6th one is that no one can shut you down. So if your system can be shut down by a government, that is not Web 3. So your system cannot be shut down. So if you are a corporation residing in the Philippines, selling SaaS, software as a service, you can be shut down. Okay, so
If it is Web3, no one can shut you down. Okay, number 5 is finality, meaning whatever you encode in a database, no one can change it. Okay? If you are just encoding into an SQL database, anyone can change it. As long as you have the admin record, whatever, then you can just change the SQL database. But in Web3, no one can change it. Privacy, of course, because every time you do transactions, it is the truth. So every time you send transaction, you sign the transaction. If you don't sign the transaction, that is not valid, in other words. So it makes your data private because every transaction right now, you sign it. If you don't sign it, no one can read the transaction. So it becomes a privacy. So therefore, if you are going to set up a Facebook type Web3, no one can get your data unless you sign it. Okay? Then number 3 is behavior. So behavior means that you don't necessarily trust the actor or the programmers, you trust the code. Okay? So even a programmer is stealing somebody, whatever, what is in the code, when you look at some of the Solidity contract, you can really read the code. Even in the Rust also, when we convert to WASM, we can also read the code directly from the blockchain. Then authenticity, because of the cryptography transactions, so you have your private keys. We have another bootcamp for just cryptography. Then, of course, permissionless, the one I explained to you that you can just set up your server. Okay? So these are the desired properties of a Web3 application. So this is coined by Gavin Wood. So for those who don't know, Gavin Wood is one of the founders of Ethereum, and he is the one also founding Polkadot. So this is basically what we visualize of how Web3 functions as an infrastructure. So the application which runs on your mobile device, on your web app, on your mobile app, communicates directly to the smart contract. This is where your business logic, your storage, etc. For us, since we also make application beyond smart contract, below smart contract, we write directly to the blockchain. We could also go directly to the chain. So in other words, we could also change the 2 concept modules, which is your blockchain, this one, and the DAO. So it needs 2 major modules to function, the blockchain and the DAO. So if you look at it like your blockchain is the technical part and the DAO is more the management part. Okay? So the blockchain will define the consensus, the peer-to-peer communication, the cryptography, everything, in creation of those blocks. And the DAO defines the governance, defines the treasury, and defines the ambassadors to your blockchain. Then, of course, all the participants downstairs, the servers. You could be a server, anyone can be a server. We don't need Google. Or you can put your server in Google if you want. But anyone can be a server. Anyone can have the data of XODE. Okay, and Polkadot also. Then external data communicates with the blockchain. And token holders, if you are a holder of token, you can submit proposals to the DAO. So if you want to change the rates of your blockchain, submit a proposal to the DAO. And the only way to do that is you must be a token holder. If you don't have a token, you cannot do anything with the blockchain. Okay? No question so far, so good, no? So blockchain, there's also a module for blockchain, but it's just a definition. It's just a state machine with a shared history within a consensus. Just 3 properties: state machine, shared history, and consensus. Nothing else. So if you're computer science, you know what a state machine is, right? You have state and you have an action, transactions. And a shared history is basically the storage database. It is a shared database. And then the consensus, meaning a lot of people are putting data to it. Okay? So what is Polkadot? Let's go to Polkadot. So Polkadot at the core is a relay chain serving as a network backbone. So a relay chain facilitates communication and consensus among all connected chains, ensuring security, coordination, and interoperability among ecosystem various parachain. For example, XODE, each designed for a specialized purpose. So in other words, you could not communicate directly or write a contract in Polkadot. So a lot of people, well, how can we use Polkadot? You cannot use Polkadot directly unless you are a blockchain. So a lot of people will say, oh, Ethereum, you can use Ethereum directly because you can write smart contract on Ethereum. But in Polkadot, you don't. Only blockchain can communicate to Polkadot. So that is why XODE is also a blockchain. So you write your contract on XODE, and then XODE will communicate to Polkadot to make sure that our blocks are interoperable with other blockchains, secure with other blockchains, and so on and so forth. It provides a standard of framework for security, interoperability, and whatever the term is, coordination, whatever. Okay? So, like say, for example, XODE has a token called XON. There's another parachain called Asset Hub, has a token called Bitcoin or Ethereum. You can get Bitcoin and Ethereum from Asset Hub to XODE, and so on and so forth. You can transfer those assets. If you have an NFT in Kusama, you can transfer it to XODE without creating a third-party bridge or wormhole, which is a cause of hacks. So this is automatically from chain to chain. You don't need to create an API server just to communicate between blockchain with Polkadot because of the relay chain. So what it does is this one. So XODE has several applications that we are currently doing right now. You have X game. So if you have a game and you want your game to be tokenized, if you want a game to have an NFT, you can use XODE. Then you have Zeward for reward, and Humidify for a DeFi. So if familiar with DeFi is just a banking module for assets. And Zaver is for our life clients. So as you can see, two parachains can communicate and can transfer USDT, Ethereum, Bitcoin from Asset Hub. So a little bit technical because I will use this slide for University of the Cebu students on Friday. So you will be asking about technical. So how do we build the smart contract? So a smart contract looks like this, very simple. So it's composed of the first struct, which is your storage. You can expand the struct, and then the traits of the struct, which is the functions that modifies the struct. Familiar? Okay, right? So as you can see, when you look at the struct, what is the struct, or what is the smart contract doing? It is just a switch, diba? So it is just a switch. So in the switch, you have the current state of the switch, which is on or off, and you have the function to turn it on, and you have the function to turn it off. Okay? Simple? Okay. So, by the way, this one is written in Rust, converted into a framework called Ink, and deployed as a WASM. So if you're not familiar with WASM, everything that you are doing right now in your browser are run through WASM. So you don't know about it, but all the browser now supports WASM, and even mobile phones now support WASM. So this is now the implementation. You have your frameworks on top, like the Angular, React, Vue, whatever, and then it goes directly to the WASM that is being deployed in XODE, and this is how you deploy it, and this is how you communicate. So you connect, you get the address, and you get the transactions. As you can see, so as you can see, this is a function in your smart contract. So when you go back to your smart contract, this is the new function. So it's actually a constructor. You can call this one, you can call this one, but this one we are calling. So when you click new, when you call new, you are creating a new switch. Okay? That's it. Now let's go to the DAO. So the DAO is basically a decentralized autonomous organization. It is the management component of your blockchain application. Like myself, I have my own SaaS, and I have to create a company just to manage my SaaS. Or else I'm not going to create another technology or app because I'll be working with that company and then supporting my program or my software forever until I die. So I need to create a DAO in order to support my application, my Web3 application. So the DAO will have the governance, it has the treasury, which the treasury determines the inflation, the value of the tokens, and also it pays for the ambassadors, which are the salespeople. So if you have like mga airdrops or mga, whatever they call it, mga airdrops, isa pa na uban? Bounties, right? Those are the terms. Those are ambassador programs created through the DAO that manages the applications. Okay? And this will be discussed by Tawe and Cersei. No, they go into the details of this. This is the business component of the DAO, of the Web3. So for Polkadot, if you want to be involved with the governance and treasury of Polkadot, you have to go to OpenGov. So just get some dots, and if you're a millionaire, you can just tell and propose there, I want to shut down Polkadot. You can do that, but it needs 51% of the entire voting population to get enacted. Then for DAO investing, if you want to invest in projects in Web3, you can go to Polymech. So projects are being in Polymech. For example, I want to set up my project and I want investors to come in and invest in my project. Just go directly to Polymech. Gotem will be in Polymech on April 29. So if you are interested in Gotem and you want to invest in Gotem, then go directly to Polymech. You can invest, I don't know how much. That will tell you about the details on that. So if you are a developer, you can join Discord Open Guild. So I'm also a member of Open Guild, and then we normally discuss about how to be involved with the Polkadot ecosystem, how to submit PRs on GitHub in order to be a part of the ecosystem. Because it's easier for you to launch a project if you are already a part of the Polkadot ecosystem, of the set of developers that helps the Polkadot ecosystem grow. And of course, Discord. So everybody has to use Discord. Okay? I think that's it. It's my talk. Thank you.